Welcome to What I've Thought About, the show where we take a look at video games I've played and what my personal opinions on them are. Because everyone loves hearing other people's opinions on the internet. Right? Bear in mind, these are not strictly reviews, so while I'll try to look at them objectively, it's more about my experience with the game, so I may be biased at times. You've been warned. What do you think of when you hear the name Mario? If this were before 1985, you'd probably think of your Hispanic next-door neighbor who has kind of been in the country long enough to speak English, but doesn't quite. However, by the year 1991, you couldn't say the name without thinking of the Red Plumber. With the evolution of video game consoles moving from the classic but limited 8-bit to the revolutionary 16-bit era of gaming, Super Mario World was at the top of the list of video games that would kick off the new graphical and technical capabilities of video games at the time. But how about we actually take a look at the game? The year is 1986. Most families had and enjoy the Family Computer, or Famicom as it was better known, the original Japanese equivalent to the ever-popular Nintendo Entertainment System, or NES for short. Nintendo was at the top of their game. Super Mario Bros. Was a hit, people struggled with The Legend of Zelda because the internet wasn't a thing yet, and almost every game developing company wanted a piece of that NES. I say almost every game developer because then you had companies that wanted to compete with the NES, such as NEC's PC Engine in 1987, which would later be known as the TurboGrafx 16 Entertainment Super System, or just TurboGrafx because fucking no one's actually gonna say the full thing, and Sega's Mega Drive in 1988. Wait, what? The Genesis came out in 88? Oh, I did not know that. I mean, of course I did! Anyway, despite the NES still being the more popular console, it was technically inferior due to its 16-bit competitors having both better graphical capabilities and audio fidelity, even if the TurboGrafx ran on 8-bit processing. As such, people were now interested in these new consoles. They looked like nothing they'd ever seen before. Nintendo was in no rush to develop a new console, but when the sales started slipping, they hopped onto that 16-bit horse as well, and November 21st, 1990 saw the release of the Super Famicom, known commonly as the Super Nintendo outside of Japan, where it would release under a year later. Enter Super Mario World, a Super Mario Bros. 6th entry in the series and their first 16-bit title. A launch title in Japan, Super Mario World came bundled with most Super Nintendos in America, resulting in it being the best-selling game of all time. Until... Created by 16 people, the game took 3 years to develop, directed by the talented game designer Takashi Tezuka, and led by the legendary Shigeru Miyamoto, who has stated that he felt the game was incomplete due to development being rushed toward the end. Makes me wonder, what would the game have been like if it hadn't been rushed? We'll probably never know, considering that it was critically acclaimed, many saying it not to be the only best Mario game of all time or even the best platformer of all time, but the best game of all time. Super Mario World has seen 4 different re-releases. One a mere 3 years later, in 1993, when it became a part of the Super Mario All-Stars plus Super Mario World combo for the SNES, bundled with the classic NES Mario titles now with updated 16-bit graphics and sound. A second time in Super Mario Advance 2 for the Gameboy Advance, which bundled a somewhat updated version of the game with the original Mario Bros. For the arcade. I say a somewhat updated version because while I personally love this remake more than the original game, which seems to be a pretty unpopular opinion, I do recognize its faults like the crunched audio quality and the absence of a multiplayer mode, although a lot of the changes are really give or take in my opinion, nothing that I like less honestly. The third re-release was on the Wii Virtual Console, where it changed basically nothing from the SNES version, and the most recent re-release was on the Wii U Virtual Console, where you can download either the original or the advanced version. So how did I come to know this game? You know what I had growing up? Sega Genesis. You know what else I had growing up? A Super Nintendo. I could not for the life of me tell you how on earth my parents managed to afford both consoles. But you know what? When I was born, the Nintendo 64 was just a few months from being released, so maybe the prices were a lot lower than I expect them to have been. After all, my parents are very careful with money for the most part, so it is entirely possible they were able to find both for pretty cheap. When I wasn't playing Super Punch-Out, which I love, or Mortal Kombat 2, that always made me really fucking uncomfortable, not to mention I'd only ever play that game with my cousins on winter break, which was when we visited them in Mexico, if ever I was playing on my family's Super Nintendo, I was spending my time playing Super Mario World. Again, I wasn't even born when this game came out, so it was pretty much always there when I was a kid. My cousins in Mexico also had it, so when I'd visit, we'd play the game from the beginning on 2-player mode. They didn't have a Genesis and were never really into Sonic anyway, so Mario was where we could share a bunch of experiences. We would always show off what we knew to each other. What we could do, any secrets we knew, what levels each other could pass. It was one of those games that you thought you knew really well, and then your cousin tells you, hey, did you know there's a Star World? Pfft, I mean, yeah, there's a star right there, what else would it be? Well, did you know that if you find all the secret exits in the Star World, there's a secret world? What? Yeah, that was pretty much my childhood. Not having any friends to talk to growing up meant no video game gossip, not to mention a lot of other kids were already playing on their N64s and PlayStations, so yeah, stuff like that blew my freaking mind. Well, I was pretty decent at the game. Reaching Bowser's Castle was goddamn impossible. I don't know why. Once in a blue moon, I would remember staring into that screen, seeing my older cousins fighting the final boss, but I had not the ability to get there myself. Again, my obsession with order would dictate that I would start with the first Super Mario Bros., right? Well, you guessed it, Super Mario World was my first Mario experience ever, and to this day, it's still my favorite Mario game of all time. So, what's inside? Another classic game, another reading of the manual. But you know what? This is a fucking Mario game. Here's the Cliff Notes version, I shit you not, from the manual. Mario and Luigi just beat Super Mario Bros. 3 and rescue Princess, take vacation to Dinosaur Land, and the princess goes missing. It doesn't even say if she was there with them, it just says she disappeared. How Mario and Luigi find out, I don't know. But they look for her on the island, and for some reason instead find a spotted egg that hatched a dinosaur that goes, Bwapu! He says his name is Yoshi. Wait, he talks? Okay, he talks. And that some turtles put him and his friends in eggs. How the fuck is that even possible? I don't know. Point is, Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi deduced that birds are Zed again, and we gotta free the Bwapus to save Peach again. And then Yoshi gives Mario a cake. Believe it or not, the game has an even shorter version of what I just said in count 'em, two dialogue boxes. First when you start the game, and when you actually rescue Yoshi. The advanced version, which is the one we'll be playing, has a bit more of an intro to it when you start the game, showing that Mario, Luigi, and the princess get to Dinosaur Land in a hot air balloon. It kinda outdates the manual's version a little bit, but I like it. Let's get into the game. I won't waste too much time explaining how the controls work since it's your standard platforming formula, so I'll just explain how they work as I go along. We start off in a hub world similar to how Mario 3 handled progression. You can choose any level you want as long as the level is available to you. To unlock new levels, you have to beat the one before it, thus opening a path to that level. Unlike Mario 3 though, you can go back and replay any level you've beaten at any time. Right off the bat, you can see a major difference between this version and the SNES version. You have the option to choose between Mario and Luigi. In the original Mario World, only player 2 could play as Luigi, and back then, it was still during a time when Luigi was just a recolor of Mario. To quickly explain how two-player mode works, players alternate between characters. Once one player loses a life or clears a stage, the control goes over to the next player, and so on and so forth. This brings a sort of sense of camaraderie, since both players are looking to get to the end together, not before one another. Player 1 could open up a path, and player 2 could open up an alternate one. Adding to that, players can help each other out with lives, giving however many the other would need while on the hub world. Green is my favorite color, not to mention I've always liked Luigi more than Mario, so we better call this Super Luigi World. On top of the reasons I mentioned before, I also like playing as Luigi because I've played the original Mario World and played through so many hacks that I'm really used to how Mario controls. In the advanced version, think of Luigi as a sort of hard mode. He can jump higher than Mario, but has his classic flutter jump, which I really love. What makes him really awkward to control is his traction. Where Mario is more tight and precise with his movement, Luigi carries a bit of momentum no matter where he moves, and it can really throw you off if you're used to playing as Mario. Not to mention that it really puts you in trouble in spots where you need to stop. Anyway, we start off on Yoshi's Island where we have a first for the Mario series, a choice on which level to play first. As a kid, I'd always play the level on the right first, since I figured that if the level on the left doesn't make me progress, why should I even play it? But that's one of the beauties of Mario World. Beating the level on the left, which is technically considered the first level, reveals the first secret. Sort of. The Yellow Switch Palace. There are 4 different Switch Palaces in the game, only 3 of which I consider secret. You have the yellow one, which isn't really a secret since you're kinda told that you can go up here, the green one, the red one, and finally the blue one. The Switch Palaces are mini levels that aren't really challenging at all, and aside from collecting a few lives, their real purpose is served when you beat them. Each Switch Palace is divided into 2 rooms, the main room where you can score lives if you know what you're doing, and the Switch Room, where a huge colored switch lies at the end for you to stomp on. What do these switches do? On certain levels, you may come across colored dotted outlines in the shape of a block. Once you activate a switch, all those outlines become solid blocks which you can use as platforms or that can be used as walls. Only the yellow and the green blocks have something inside them though, which I always thought was pretty strange. The yellow switch blocks have regular mushrooms inside them. Speaking of mushrooms, now that we've gotten the Switch Palaces out of the way, now I can pretty much explain the rest of the game through this one level. The first thing you'll come across is a lone Koopa shell. The Super Nintendo controller has a lot more buttons when compared to the NES, but one thing that has stayed true to Mario is the run button. There's barely ever a moment when I'm not holding down the run button. It'll make you move faster, jump farther, and probably most importantly, it allows you to pick up items such as the Koopa shell. Something else that has stayed true to Mario is how you collect 1-ups. Sure, you have your standard coins, which don't really do anything other than granting you 1-ups when you collect 100 of them, but another fancy way of getting extra lives is hitting 8 enemies in a row with the Koopa shell. Each enemy you hit after that just counts as 1 extra life. Moving along, you have the question mark blocks, which may have different things inside them. The most common thing to find in them are coins, but they also hold power-up items like the aforementioned mushrooms, which not only make you bigger, but also serve as an extra hit you can take. You can also find 1-up mushrooms and the returning P-switches. But by far, the biggest addition to the question mark block items is the egg that hatches. It's a Bwapu! Look, it's a Bwapu! New to the Mario franchise is Yoshi, a species of dinosaur that got trapped inside of eggs thanks to Bowser and the Koopalings, and boy do they change up the game. When you beguile them on the back of the head with the run button, Yoshi extends its lizard-like tongue and is able to eat things like berries and even certain enemies, or hold things in its mouth for a certain period of time. Whenever our buddy Bwapu eats something, it counts as 1 coin. Here's where another gameplay difference between Mario and Luigi lies, where with Mario, Yoshi eats enemies instantly, with Luigi he can hold them in his mouth for a little while, giving you the option to spit them out as projectiles before he eats them. Yoshi can also serve as a double or high jump that can help you reach places you couldn't reach otherwise, or save you in tight situations. Bwapu, no! When I was a kid, I used to think that Yoshi was a horse because of the saddle. Just thought I'd mention that. Something special happens depending on what Koopa shell Bwapu has in its mouth. As with the Switch Palaces, there are 4 different colored Koopa shells, each granting Bwapu a different ability. Green shells serve as regular projectiles once you spit them out, taking down any enemy it hits. Red shells let you fire out 3 fireballs once you try to spit out the shell. I say try because the fireballs come out instead of the shell. These next 2 only give you the abilities as long as Bwapu has the shells in his mouth, and both work as projectiles like the green shells if you spit them out. The blue shells give Bwapu wings, which allow you to fly when repeatedly tapping the jump button. Yellow shells let you have a super stomp, which can either take out enemies close to you or crush them. Speaking of crushing enemies, a new ability the plumbers have is the spin jump, which is probably the most useful move in their arsenal. With the spin jump, Luigi can crush certain enemies and, with the power-up, lets you break the new rotating blocks when using the ability on top of them. These blocks can be hit from below, and they start rotating, letting you jump through them before becoming solid again. I always thought these looked like a power socket. Anyone else? Anyway. Luigi can also continuously spin jump on top of certain enemies that can only be eaten by Bwapu or destroyed by a fireball with the help of the Fire Flower power-up. Oh yeah, the classic Fire Flower makes a return in the game in a really strange design. But since I'm so familiar with this game, this is the design I think of first. Anyway, the Fire Flower pretty much works like in previous games. Collecting it will change Luigi's color palette and grant him some new abilities. Pressing the run button makes Luigi shoot a fireball, which will bounce along the ground until it hits something. You can use it in midair, where it'll travel down diagonally from where you shoot. You can even use fireballs underwater, which is where I prefer to use them. I never really knew that they were fireballs as a kid. I mean, they could bounce and be used underwater. How was I supposed to know? I thought it was just some random energy ball. Fireballs take out most enemies, turning them into coins that you can collect. Note that I said most enemies, since certain ones like the new Spike Tops won't be affected by the Fire Flower or the spin jump. Going back to the spin jump, using it will also cause certain secondary effects depending on your situation. For example, using it while on Bwapu causes you to jump off of him. Jumping with him and then spin jumping will make you jump even higher than you normally would, like we mentioned before. Spin jumping while having a Fire Flower will make you shoot 2 fireballs, one to your left and one to your right. If you spin jump from a high distance, you'll keep doing so until you hit the ground, and with the Fire Flower, you can shoot multiple fireballs. Mario World features a plethora of enemies to face, some old and some new. The one that stands out the most, though, is Charging Chuck, a sportsman who uses different kinds of balls to try to hurt you. He can throw baseballs at you, soccer balls, footballs, and as his name implies, even charge at you. But he's just an example of the many things Mario World has in store. Of course, what would the Mario Brothers be without pipes? Well, Mario 2 USA, but nonetheless, they're back here, and they're not just green pipes, but pipes of different colors. They don't really mean anything though, since they still serve their usual purpose. Take Luigi to another part of the level. They come in all different shapes and sizes, and as usual, some of them are just there and don't lead anywhere. This time around, certain pipes can shoot you out and send you flying in a sort of leap of faith, but never with any real danger. Others can extend, making you have to wait on them to shrink again before you can jump on them. This little gate here is our midway point, technically the first in the series. If you break the little tape it has a small Luigi, it'll have the same effect as a mushroom and turn you big, not having an effect if you already have a power-up. If you die and re-enter the level, you start from the gate with the little tape gone. The Midway Gate isn't in every level, so don't be too confident. You might have noticed these big coins with Bwapu on them. These are dragon coins. Collecting 5 in a level is another way to get a 1-up, and each one also counts as a regular coin. Back in the original Mario World, not every level had them, and some levels didn't even have all 5, making them just another coin to collect. The advanced version fixes that, making sure that every level has at least 5, even the ones that originally weren't supposed to have dragon coins like ghost houses, fortresses, and castles, but we'll get to those in a second. Certain levels have more than 5 dragon coins, and for each additional coin you collect, that's 1 more life for you. Huh? A 1-up came out of that egg. The thing is, the game is designed so that there can only be 1 Bwapu at a time. If you're already on one or one is near you and you hit a block with another one in it, a 1-up will come out instead. P-switches work as they did in the last game, turning used blocks into coins and vice versa. This can lead to secret parts of the level or can create platforms for you to walk on for a limited amount of time before reverting to what they were before. Finally, in this level we have the goal gate, serving as the end of the level. The gate tape moves up and down as opposed to the midway gate. Going through the gate turns all on-screen enemies into coins which are collected automatically. Simply going through the gate without touching the tape ends the level normally, turning your tape into a coin which adds to your total and tallies up a few extra points for your remaining time, which is always counting down. When you hit the tape, however, in addition to what I just explained, you're also awarded star points, which accumulate until reaching 100. You can get anywhere from 1 to 30 points, and if you hit it at just the right time, you could even get 40, and if you're really lucky, you can get 50 points along with 3 extra lives. The higher the tape, the more points you'll get. Reaching 100 star points will start a bonus game. The bonus game takes you to a room that looks like the Switch Palace rooms, where 8 item boxes rotate around another one. The one in the middle can have either a mushroom, a fire flower, or a star, while the rotating blocks shuffle all 3, and it's your task to hit them and make them stop on one, sort of like a slot machine. The blocks stop rotating once all the blocks have been hit. What happens next is like tic-tac-toe, where any row of matching items, be it diagonal, horizontal, or vertical, will award you with an extra life, so it's possible to win up to 8 extra lives if all the boxes match. As you can see, it's pretty damn easy to collect 1-ups in this game. Going back to the goal gate, its functions don't end there. If you're carrying an item like a shell, a key, which we'll get into later, or a P-switch while passing through the gate, the item you're holding will turn into a power-up. Which one depends on a bunch of things like your current status, the item in your reserve box, and oh god, I haven't talked about the reserve box, have I? Well, I might as well now. See that little box on the top of the screen? Essentially say you have a fire flower and you collect a mushroom. Back in the day, nothing would have happened since you already have a better power-up, but in Mario World, doing so will make the mushroom go to your reserve box. What it does is what it says on the can. In the original Mario World, getting hit with any power-up reverts you back to Small Mario. This time around, we have 3 different stages. Small Luigi, Super Luigi, which is when we have a mushroom power-up, and finally Fire or Cape Luigi, which we'll get into in just a bit. In the advanced version, getting hit as Fire or Cape Luigi will make Luigi go back to Super Luigi first, and if we get hit again, we revert to Small Luigi. If this happens, the reserve box automatically makes any item in the slot drop slowly so we can collect it. Mushrooms are considered the lesser of the power-ups, so if you're Fire Luigi and you collect a mushroom, the mushroom doesn't overtake the flower. Fire flowers and cape feathers, however, take over any power-up you currently have, moving the power-up you had before to the reserve box. We can make the item in the reserve fall ourselves, though, by hitting the select button, switching our items around. So, taking all this into account, we can get any of the 3 power-ups, but through very specific situations, the item can turn into, wouldn't you know it, a 1-up. So basically, if you get all 5 dragon coins, the 50 star points with the 3 extra lives, make your item turn into a 1-up and get all 8 lives in the bonus game, you can end up with 13 extra lives by the end of a stage. I did not know that. Wow! I just realized you can explain almost the entire game with just that one level. I'm seriously surprised. I didn't even know that was possible. A level you can complete in legit 10 seconds can explain almost an entire game. Wow. Moving on, I won't be explaining every level since there are a lot of them. Yoshi's Island is probably the smallest world in the game, only having 4 real levels before the castle, and in my opinion, its only job is to teach you how the game works. The hub world does an excellent job at showing you where every level is located and what you'll be getting into. For example, the 4th level is represented by a little body of water surrounding the level dot. As such, we can infer that every level that's like this will be a water level, or at least involve water in some way. In this level, we're introduced to the classic star power-up. What it does is make Luigi invincible for a certain period of time. No enemy can hurt you, but getting crushed and falling down bottomless pits is still a thing to avoid. Every enemy you touch will be taken down, and as with Koopa shells, once you take down 8 enemies, you're awarded a 1-up, so on and so forth. The last thing that Yoshi's Island has to teach us is the Koopaling castles. I actually like that every one of these starts with a mini cutscene of Luigi entering, sort of building up to the challenge ahead, and you can skip them if you like. While the castles don't really test what you've learned throughout the respective world, I still appreciate that they do their own thing, bringing a whole new level worth of things to learn and to be on the lookout for, even if some castles reuse what previous castles did. Recurring themes in castles tend to be the use of lava and a barricade of enemies coming your way, not to mention things that can cut you up or crush you. Where in almost any other level you're allowed to play the game however which way you want, castles kind of force you to slow down. Well, force isn't really the right word, it's more like the game rewards you for taking your time. More often than not, being impatient can lead you to missing a jump or getting crushed between timed moving walls. It doesn't really bother me because you sort of learned this from the first castle, and every death in the castles feels like your own fault rather than the game having a cheap obstacle you have to avoid with precision. My one problem with the castles is that, good god, are the boss fights easy. At the end of every castle, there's a door to indicate that you've made it to the boss of the world. Behind it lie one of 7 Koopalings, returning from Mario 3. And just like Mario 3, while they each have their own thing going on, they're all really easy. Hell, I think the Mario 3 bosses are more of a challenge. Worse than that, they recycle the first 3 Koopaling fights for the last 3, making only 2 of the game's bosses actually unique, and that's including Bowser. Anyway, behind door number 1, we have Iggy Koopa, standing on the top of this tilting platform surrounded by lava. It's your job to knock him into the lava before the platform tilts back. Hitting him by either jumping on his head or with a fireball makes him slide to whichever is considered the low part of the platform. So if you have him on the edge but hit him while the edge is high, he'll go the other way. I remember always having to jump on his head as a kid, not knowing that using fireballs make him an absolute joke. So after we kill Iggy, because let's face it, that's what we did, we're treated to this little cutscene where Luigi blows up the castle to smithereens. Wonderful. Except that doesn't look like that castle we entered. I mean, that was pretty tiny. Having done so, we also rescue up Wapu, still trapped inside its egg. We now move on to Donut Plains, which the cutscene calls Donut Land for some reason, and what I consider the real start to the game. From the first level in the new world, we're introduced to the signature new power-up, and perhaps the most broken power-up in any Mario game, the Cape Feather. Cape Feathers are actually pretty unique in the way you can get one. Aside from the usual item lying around or getting one from a question mark block, you can also get one from these Super Koopas. Only certain ones though, since there are 3 cape types. The yellow ones are pretty common and just swoop down at you when you're close. The red cape ones, which behave pretty much the same but are random in appearance, and finally the ones with flashing capes which, upon jumping on them, doesn't kill them but makes them lose their cape, giving you the chance to take it for yourself. To say that the cape is useful would be the biggest understatement of video game history. You know, aside from, the time Mickey said that he saw Aqua in the Dark Realm. Not the point. When pushing the run button, Luigi will twirl around, which will knock most enemies off screen, including the charging chucks, which take several jumps on the head and fireballs to take out. The twirl can also block certain tiny projectiles, protecting you from harm. Jumping and holding the jump button will make Luigi descend slower than he normally would, making platforming that much easier. But by far, the most useful thing the cape can do is let you fly. Once you start running, you're building up speed to be able to soar through the skies. As soon as Luigi puts his arms up, you know you're ready to hit and hold that jump button and go for a ride. Usually you'll be holding in the direction you're running, and doing so while flying will make Luigi slam the ground, causing an earthquake that will make any grounded on-screen enemies get knocked off-screen. But honestly, who needs that when we can totally ignore the level entirely? While flying, you can let go of the D-pad and hit the button in the opposite direction to sustain yourself in the air as long as you keep a rhythm. This makes certain levels an absolute joke if you know what you're doing. You see this? Yeah, there's an actual level below me, but with the cape, I don't need to worry about that at all. And this? I'm not even supposed to be able to reach this early. However, it gives me the chance to explain the key and the keyhole. These are essentially secret exits. Very rarely will these 2 items not be right next to each other, and picking up the key and walking to the keyhole will end the level, taking you down an alternate path. You might have noticed that the level we were just in has a red dot instead of a yellow one. What that means is that the level has multiple exits instead of just the one. Taking that secret exit introduces us to our first proper underwater level, with these motherfuckers that chase you around as soon as you get close. I hated them as a kid and I sure as hell hate them now. Wouldn't you know it, this level also introduces us to the new P-Balloon. Touching it will inflate Luigi and make him float up slowly, if we let it, that is. We have very limited control with the P-Balloon, and its only functions are to let us float really high or over bottomless pits. It also makes the music slow down in a really comic fashion. Speaking of the music, there's not much I can say as, well, it barely counts as a soundtrack. I kid you not, the soundtrack isn't even half an hour long, and it's legitimately amazing how it shows that less is more. By that I mean that most of the themes are rearrangements of one single melody to accommodate the level motif, and each song is charming as hell. Never, and I mean never, will you get bored of this soundtrack. Most of the unique tunes you'll hear in the game are usually used only one time in the whole game, or short little fanfares you'll hear every now and then. As such, it's probably one of the most memorable soundtracks in video game history. Just ask for any of the songs and I'd be able to hum it. I think I actually did hum the whole soundtrack the day after recording footage for this. As a bonus, that I swear I never noticed as a kid, when you're riding a Blapo, the music adds an extra track of bongos, which can actually change the track quite a bit. I thought it was something that the advanced version added, but nope, it's in the original too. Back to the water level, and just to finish up, if you're holding something while swimming, you'll actually swim faster. Normally you'd have to tap the jump button to keep yourself afloat, but you'll float automatically if you're holding something. Taking this level's secret exit leads us to our first ghost house, a first in this series. Unlike every other level, ghost houses are very puzzle-based. You won't be able to find the exit just by traversing through the level. You might have to activate a switch that will reveal a door you need to go through in order to simply progress. Another trait that ghost houses share is that they usually have multiple exits, and this one we're in particular has one in the form of a mini-boss. Big Boo looks like any other Big Boo in the game, but this one can actually be defeated by throwing these new and unique grab blocks. Grab blocks, as the name implies, can be grabbed by Luigi to be used to hit enemies or other blocks, acting sort of like Koopa shells, except that these actually get destroyed once they hit a wall, or this boss in particular. Once you grab one, it'll start flashing, eventually disappearing if you hang on for it for too long. You can grab them by the side, but if you have one below you, Luigi takes that one instead. Hit the Boo 3 times, and you win! Defeating Big Boo takes us to a secret star? Whoa, where are we going? Taking this secret star takes us to Star World, a world that I'm pretty sure that they didn't intend on you getting to this early, but hey, we're here, so we might as well explore it. Star World's levels are pretty unique in their own right, as they tend to be short levels, each with their own secret exit. You see, the normal exit does nothing, while finding the secret exit lets you advance. Here we find It's a mini Bwapu! And it's blue! Feed it 5 times or with a single power-up and it's blue Bwapu! This shit blew my mind as a kid, since for the longest time I didn't even know there was more than just the green Yoshi, and the blue one is my favorite since no matter what color shell it has in its mouth, it'll still be able to fly, along with having the corresponding shell's effect. I tried to beat the entirety of Star World, but I didn't have all the switch blocks yet. I mean, I technically could have finished it without them, but I forgot that there were some Koopas around to help me fly up to the secret exit in the last level, so I left early to go back to the main path. Taking the normal exit in the first level of this world, Bwapu, no! Takes us to our very first underground level, represented by these rocks surrounding the level. Not only that, but our very first auto-scroller, which... I hate auto-scrollers, since these do genuinely force you to slow down, since the screen is set to advance at a certain speed and no longer depending on your position on screen. I know that we technically had our first auto-scroll section in the first castle, but that was just a short section. This is a whole level. Again, with 2 different exits, one of which takes you to the Green Switch Palace. Green switch blocks give you cape feathers. The normal exit takes you to a ghost house, which also has a secret exit, and boy, you'll want to know about how I found this one. I didn't know about the secret until my online days when one of my cousins that I used to play this game with asked me if I knew about the laser suit. I had no idea what he was talking about, so he showed me this video where a guy goes into a secret pipe in this level I'd never seen before and collects a power-up that gives you a cape and a horizontal laser that acts like a fireball. I was so amazed and I wanted to get it for myself, but first I needed to get to this so-called top secret area I didn't know about. So get this. You need to have a cape, fly to the highest part of the beginning of the ghost house to find the secret exit. Who the fuck would have thought to do that? Either way, I found this level that I'd never seen before in all my years of playing the game. The cool thing about this area is that it hosts a Bwapu egg, 2 fire flowers, and 2 cape feathers you can grab whenever you need them. The really uncool thing about it is that the video I saw was a hack that my cousin and I both thought was real. The cool thing about that, though, was that it introduced me to the incredible Super Mario World hacking community, which I can get into some other time. Going back to the normal exit, I should mention that castles, ghost houses, fortresses, and switch palaces open a prompt after you beat them, making this the first Mario game that allows you to save. I should note that the advanced version lets you save at any time while on the hub world. Advanced Mario World saves anything from lives to score. Original Super Nintendo Mario World does not. Moving on to the next level, it's like any other one, but I'd like to mention something I sort of forgot from the first level in the world. Taking certain pipes will take you to bonus rooms that have a little game for you to play. If you hit the box in the right order, more 1-ups! This level also features another block you might have seen before. This green block with a star will release a 1-up if you collected 30 or more coins in the level, otherwise it'll just give you another coin. Man, getting 1-ups in this game is easy. Next level features the Omni Shell, which I don't really show off, but give Bwapu all the abilities as long as you have it in your mouth, and seeing it come after me was terrifying as a kid. The next castle has Morton Koopa Jr., who is, believe it or not, actually easier than the first boss. The next world is the Vanilla Dome, which makes the multiple pathways even more obvious. Both pathways ultimately lead to the same destination, though. Through one we can reach the Red Switch Palace that can help us go through the other path. The path on the right leads to the third castle, which hosts Lemmy Koopa, who hides inside pipes along with 2 other dummy Koopas. The other path leads us to a level which hosts my favorite trick in the game. You'll find a silver P-switch which turns enemies into silver coins for a limited time, which when you collect enough turn into guess, I dare you. You're meant to use the P-switch here, but if you bring it back to this area, you can score more lives than you normally would. Moving along, we come across the first fortress, which in level design and theme is pretty much like the castle levels, except the boss you fight at the end is Reznor, a group of 4 dinosaurs spitting fireballs at you while on a spinning wheel, and you have to hit them from the bottom as if they were on blocks. The manual says they were cursed by Bowser, but it never really made sense to me why we were killing them. Before we reach the next castle, I'd like to explain the berries that have been seen on the bushes throughout the game. Having Bwapu eat 10 of them within a level will spawn a power-up, and each one counts as a coin. That is, every red berry. There are also pink berries that will spawn a cloud that drops coins. You only have to eat 2 of these berries for the cloud to appear, and if you collect all 10 coins it drops, you're rewarded with, yeah, you guessed it. I just want to say Mario World has boosh like this. Who the fuck would have ever thought to do that? The final way to collect lives, I swear, is through these secret one-time only 3-up moons, which are always a delight to find. Once you find one, you can't re-enter and collect more. Castle 4 has my favorite Koopa and my favorite boss fight, Ludwig von Koopa. A simple, easy fight, but the only unique fight aside from Bowser. Not only that, but it also has my favorite castle cutscene. That's adorbs. Moving on, we have Forest of Illusion, which I never looked forward to when I was younger. It's chock full of secrets you have to find to even navigate around, but it's easy enough once you know where everything is, and it's actually quite fun. Totally new aesthetic and introduces a few new things here and there, like the new series staple Wiggler, who can only die when eaten by Yoshi or if you have a star. Jumping on him will really piss him off. We're also introduced to the Galoombas, which were called Goombas back when this game first came out. My family and I just called them little apples because these things do not look like Goombas. Not to mention they behave differently. Jumping on them won't crush them, instead it'll flip them over so you can carry them and throw them at other enemies. Another newcomer are the urchins, which are a pain because nothing really hurts them except for the stars, so you have to avoid them at all costs. Forest of Illusion also hosts the final Switch Palace of the blue variety, springs you can bounce on for more height, and the returning Lakitus, whose clouds you can actually steal for yourself for a limited time. All in all, Forest of Illusion offers a few new things that blend in with what we've already seen, keeping things fresh but not complicated. Castle number 5 holds Roy Koopa, who's just a repeat of Morton, except now the walls are closing in. Ooh, yeah, still easy. Now we have the dangerously delicious Chocolate Island, which, I'm gonna be honest, always made me feel like I was playing another game. I couldn't really explain why, but Chocolate Island just always felt out of place for me. I think the reason why that is because I only really remember one level, the one where progression depends on your remaining time and the coins you've collected. There were 3 exits in this level, 2 of which are considered normal and 1 secret one. I still don't really get how it works, but I did manage to get the 2 exits I needed on the first try. Castle 6 is home to Wendy-O Koopa and her spike dildos. She's exactly the same fight as Lemmy, except with completely flat pipes and potobos flying around the arena. Now we head into the Sunken Ghost Ship. Since I never played Mario 3 as a kid, I didn't really know this was a reference to that until much later in life, which also made the orb at the end of the level really out of place for me. Think of the Sunken Ghost Ship as a mix between a ghost house and a water level, with a bunch falling at the end. Beating this level unlocks what the fuck? The new level that opens up to us is the Valley of Bowser, which definitely hosts the more difficult levels. Most of them are very cave-based, and I remember thinking that the fortress in this world was a huge difficulty spike. I managed to get through it just fine this time around though. Also, fuck the ghost house's secret exit. You're supposed to use this trail of coins you can guide by using the D-pad and then use a P-switch so you can walk on them, but you can't see where you have to guide them to after a while, so I just fly up there until I can finagle my way in. Before I take on the last 2 castles, I want to go back and beat the Star World, where I found out you can do this. Yeah. It's also where I realized that I could have beaten the last level without the switch blocks and with the Bloop Wapu. Oh well, I wanted to do the next part last anyway. Finding the secret exit in this level opens up the Secret World, the most challenging levels in the game, and none of them have checkpoints to boot. I remember when I first discovered this and played through the second level, Tubular, I thought it was the most boosh level in the game, since you have to use a P-balloon to float across and get another balloon just before the first one runs out. But as always, Winged Wapu breaks everything. Awesome was always pretty easy for me, but Luigi's traction mixed with the ice physics make the level unnecessarily difficult. Alright, Groovy. Man, these names are getting goddamn ridiculous. Hey, this looks familiar. Yeah, the title screen of the game uses Groovy of all levels as the demo. The one level that can go fuck a go without a doubt is outrageous. Yeah, you're damn right it's outrageous with your fire snakes and stoop-ass bullet bills. Fuck you! I spent forever on that level, and part of it was because I didn't have a power-up and I wanted to prove to myself I could beat it without one. The last level, Funky, is unique in that it has a stricter time limit than most levels, but to help with that are the level-exclusive green berries, which add 20 seconds to the timer when eaten by Wapu. Beating the level will award you with a special message written in coins. You are a super player. Yeah, you hear that, outrageous? I am super player! After this, I go back to Star World to show you it's a yellow Wapu! And a red Wapu! Yeah, as with Koopas and Switch Palaces, Yoshis also come in 4 different colors. Yellow Wapus have a super stomp no matter what shell they eat, and red Wapus shoot fire no matter what shell they eat. Once you unlock a new Wapu, they start appearing throughout the levels normally, and which one you get depends on what power-up you have. That's why I unlocked the blue one before the other 2, just to make things easier. Back in the Valley of Bowser, the 7th castle is home to Larry Koopa, who is Iggy with Potobos, so he's really no threat at all. Beating the final castle will unlock— oh, what's going on? What's this? Hey, I found all 96 exits in the game! I wasn't even trying to do that. In the original Mario World, beating the special world would make Dinosaur Land's hub world go to a color change, making it go from a spring aesthetic to more of an autumn one. Levels stay the same, but some of the enemies change to a what the fuck is that? The advanced version suffers these changes once all exits are found, since the original didn't really have an incentive for finding them all. I guess I should quickly mention that collecting all the Dragon Coins also changes the game, turning the once Dragon Coins into the advanced exclusive Princess Coins. As with the color change, it's really just aesthetic and doesn't bring anything new to the table, and I've only ever done it once. I didn't want to waste my time with that this time around. We now enter Bowser's Castle in the real final level. You can actually get to this castle without having to fight any of the Koopalings except for Iggy, but honestly worth the fun in that. You can also access Bowser faster by going through his castle's back door, but I'm gonna treat him like a villain with respect instead of like a moron. So when you first enter the castle, you're treated to a type of pick your own poison game, presented with 4 different doors leading to different challenges. Reaching the door at the end of the room will put you in another room with 4 doors, resulting in 16 different combinations of 2 challenges you can choose from. Beating both will take you to the final room, which is dark for some reason. I don't really get why now that I think about it. This room holds the level exclusive Ninjas and Mecha Koopas that don't really do anything. The Ninjas just jump pretty high in place, but go down in one hit, and the Mecha Koopas are just projectiles you can use once you jump on them. Now's the time, the final battle. Bowser's Clown Copter makes its stellar debut in this game, and this boss intimidated the hell out of me as a kid. He has 3 different phases. In the first one, he'll fly up and down, not really doing anything until eventually shooting out 2 Mecha Koopas that you can use to hit him. After getting hit twice, he leaves the arena showing off that wonderful Mode 7 and dropping some fireballs onto the stage. After avoiding them, the princess will come out, helping you with a mushroom in between phases. Phase 2 has Bowser move more sporadically, dropping bowling balls that roll towards you and that you have to jump over. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding, legit bowling balls. His third and final phase is him actively chasing after you, and boy is the Clown Copter pissed. That is creepy. 2 more Mecha Koopas and we've beaten the game. We save the princess, get a kiss, and then fireworks go off. I can only assume that it's Mario who set the fireworks, otherwise I'm very confused. We're treated to these short credits and an enemy roll, and during the writing of this episode, I realized that a lot of the staple Mario enemies are actually from this game. Arriving back at Yoshi's house, all the eggs we rescued hatch, effectively ending our adventure. So, this is what I thought about Super Mario World. This is one of those games that pretty much defined my childhood. With platforming mechanics never seen before and never really replicated in any future games, matched with aesthetics that are very iconic to not only myself, but apparently to many others, this game has been alive for years with just how many ROM hacks there are online, which are really popular. I love the controls, the colors, the sounds, the simplicity of it all, the wapoo! So many things about this game, coupled with the memories of my cousins and the fact that hacks have let me learn even more about how the game works, have amounted to countless hours of fun, and to this day, there hasn't been another Mario game that has played like this. Whenever someone thinks of Mario, they tend to think of Mario 1 or Mario 3, but with me, this is what I immediately think of, and I always look forward to playing this game again. My favorite Mario game, and one of my favorite games overall. Hey guys, Charriii5 here. Wow, that was a really long episode. Thank you so much for watching what I've thought about. I'd love to know what you guys thought about this game, and hey, while you're at it, why not suggest something else for me to look at? Maybe I'll get to it soon. Hopefully sooner than this episode. It took me a year to get the second episode out. Not the point. It'd be really cool if you guys could check out some of my other videos if you got the time. Remember, just because you like it doesn't mean it's necessarily good, and just because you hate it doesn't mean it's necessarily bad. Until next time, stay safe and stay awesome. This is Charriii5, signing off.